Hello and welcome back to my channel. So this is going to be my, where are we at? 33, 34, 35, 36. So 33 to 36 weeks of pregnancy update video. It is crazy because this video, obviously I'm just filming 1 week for you now and there'll be 4 clips, but this video might be the last pregnancy update video I make. It might not. It might be that I manage the next one as well. I don't know when the baby's going to come. It might be that there's this one and then there's the next one, but it's not the full number of weeks. I don't know. It could just be that there's this one. I am Lizzie. If you don't know me, I am a surface pattern designer. So I design patterns that appear on my notebooks, my wrapping paper. I illustrate cards, tea towels, trays, coasters are on the way, and I'm also a coach, so I support other designer makers in growing their businesses so that they can make the money that they want to make doing what they love. I'm really passionate about that. So that's who I am. The rest of the context is I've got a little boy called Stan who's 4, who's in the other room. I've got a fur baby Mabel pootling about somewhere. She may well be in a minute. But Stan came at 35 weeks, so slightly more than a month early, and I'm 34 weeks almost now, so I'm going to talk to you about week 33, but that's why I'm in this headspace of like, could be imminent, don't know, I'd love, I've said this a couple of times in these videos, I'll put a playlist up in the corner so that you, in case you've stumbled upon this one and you want to kind of see them from the beginning, I'll whack a playlist up for all of these videos, so I've done weekly. But basically, I have said a few times that I would like to get to week 37 because we'd love to have a home birth, and from week 37 you don't have to be hospitalized. It's not considered early. You're full term at 37 weeks, so that's great. So that's kind of what we're working towards. But then also obviously it could go to 42 weeks, could go longer. I don't know how I feel about induction. Well, I do know how I feel about induction. I don't want to be induced. That might be a whole other video. But basically, I'm in this place where it could be anytime soon, but it could be a while. It would be great if we got to like 3 or 4 weeks more, but it might be 6 or 7 weeks more. Who knows? Anyway, so we're in that place and we've just finished watching the whole of the kind of online like digital pack of the positive birthing company's hypnobirthing. So we're at that stage now that we're going to sit down in the Easter holidays. My husband Dan is a TA, so in a few days time he will be off work for more than 2 weeks for Easter, which feels like perfect timing, and we will sit down and we'll write out our birth preferences. I will hopefully do a video about home birth and preparing for home birth. Hopefully I can get that one in before the baby comes, but that would be our ideal, or at least being at home for as long as possible. Maybe we'll be transferred in, we'll have to see, but hopefully not. So it feels like the time that we're like now starting to think about that stuff. We're gonna like make loads of meals to put in the freezer. Our bedroom is sorted so that we have our nursery nook. I mentioned that in the last video. So it feels like things are like really ramping up and getting ready for the baby, which is so exciting. I have got another reflexology appointment on Friday, so I'm doing well at like looking after myself. I'm getting so much walking in. I was doing like 5k a day, and sometimes it was a bit less and sometimes it was a bit more, but over the last few days, not today actually because I've been working from home today, when Dan gets home I'm going to go out for a walk, but I think I walked like 10k the day before yesterday, and the day before that was like 8, and the day before that was like 7. So I feel like I'm getting really quite a lot of exercise in, and I wasn't beating myself up, but I've stopped worrying too much about other kinds of workouts because of the realization that actually just before Stan was born, I wasn't still going to like pregnancy yoga or Pilates, and I wasn't walking anything like as much as this. So I was working at Smug. There wouldn't have been time for me to be doing as much exercise. So actually I'm feeling like I'm doing really quite well, and I ran for the lights the other day because there was like however many counting seconds down from the green man. I just pegged it across the road and I was like, oh, didn't know I could actually still do that. So I'm actually feeling quite good. by the evenings I still get that like stitch up my left hand side and I'm a bit more achy, but I'm sleeping well. I'm not having any problems with like putting my shoes on or things like that. We'll have to see. We just had a week of it being really lovely spring-like weather. And now it's a little bit chillier again, but it might be that it's not that long till I can just be wearing sandals anyway. I'm going to try and go for a pedicure this week, which will feel like a real treat. As I was saying in the last video, trying to look at more ways that I can do nice things for myself. I went out for, it's just been Mothering Sunday, and on the Saturday me and my mum went out for the day and went shopping and went for a lovely lunch and just had a gorgeous time together. That was why I ended up walking like 10k. But yeah, I'm trying to get more things in like that. And yeah, so I have got swollen feet and swollen ankles, so it might be quite nice if it gets warm enough to like float around in dresses and wear sandals. But as I say, yeah, the flexibility of like getting my shoes on and everything like that is still fine. I'm still sleeping well, propped up, that's okay. Still enjoying my yoga ball, doing a good job of listening to lots of like positive affirmations for my hypnobirthing, doing lots of meditation and all of that stuff. So generally I'm feeling really quite good. I am enormous. I know I say that every time, but I really am enormous. And so my stretch marks actually are feeling quite red and sore now. I don't know if maybe over the last few days the baby's been wriggling so much. I'll be interested to know when I have my next midwife appointment if he's now got closer to being head down, because that low bit where the red stretch marks are feels quite sore in the evenings, and by the end of the day my tummy button's like slightly starting to push out and it feels quite hard down there, and I've definitely like needing to wee loads more, and I've been all the way through my pregnancy been really good at staying hydrated, but it feels like at the moment, everyone always says, oh, when you're pregnant you have to go for a wee all of the time, but actually it's really ramped up for me, and I wonder if that's again that he's like pushing down on my bladder more. It would be really nice if he turned in the right direction of his own accord, because I still haven't done spinning babies. So I'll have my next midwife appointment, and if she says, oh no, he's still not in position, then I really will start doing that. I don't know why I'm not doing it. It hasn't, maybe it's because we needed to finish the hypnobirthing course and now that can be the next thing. So we'll see, but I'll keep you updated on his position once I've had my next appointment. TMI, but I've had like a really annoying week in terms of bowel movements, in terms of like diarrhea and then constipation, so that's not been that fun. But I literally can't think of anything else that's been not fun. Like, it's fine. I'm having a nice time being pregnant. Other than the soreness of the stretch marks. And actually, no, I've got a bit of like really sore skin this week under, like lower down, high up on my stomach, but lower than my boobs, has gotten quite tender. And that's been a bit sore, so like I put some Bepanthen on there last night, so it feels like I've not had I don't get like really dry skin from my tummy stretching, which is weird. I've got quite sort of oily, milky skin, so I do from time to time like use nice oils and moisturize and look after it, but it isn't because it's dry, but like I say, like it's starting to get that there are bits that are actually a bit tender and sore. But I'm wearing clothes that are really comfy and soft and gentle on that, so kind of no problems there. Interesting things that are going on is Mabel has really ramped up in like knowing that there's a baby in there. So basically Stan and Dan get up in the morning a bit before me, and I get like maybe half an hour more in bed before Dan goes to work. Basically, as soon as they leave the room, Mabel, my cat, comes straight in, comes up onto the bed and just crawls up onto my tummy and like sits here and lies across the baby and just goes to sleep. And it's sort of like I know that cats do like being warm, but everywhere's been warm in the house recently. And it feels much more like she's being like a guard cat, because she doesn't actually go straight to sleep. She sort of stands there for quite a long time and then she lies there and gradually she relaxes and falls asleep. But it feels like she's like guarding the baby. So that's really fascinating and quite funny. Stan's so up for it and being really positive. So really hoping that his experience of the baby coming and the birth and what it's like having me breastfeeding a baby, and being attached to them, and him still being able to join in as much as possible. But like, I hope his reality isn't too taxing for him. Obviously change is hard, but he's been being so positive, so that feels really nice as well. I think I'll pack a hospital bag quite soon, as I say, hoping for a home birth, but we want to have a hospital bag ready in case we're transferred. That just feels smart to do. I'll probably film that as a video, or like what's in my hospital bag hoping for a home birth video. And yeah, I think that might be everything for this week. Really looking forward to my reflexology on Friday, and actually really looking forward to like cooking meals and putting them in the freezer, and that level of like preparation of it all feeling really real, and doing the hospital bag and the birth preferences and stuff feels really like it's not going to be that long now. And yeah, not feeling scared of labour, feeling quite up for it and looking forward to meeting the baby. Yeah, is there anything I haven't filled you in on? You know that I don't have gestational diabetes, which is awesome. I think the next kind of hurdle to overcome is going to be getting the baby in the right position, because I really would rather not be in hospital. And I think the thing about home birth is there are certain factors that if things don't just naturally go to plan, you don't get the home birth. So I'm trying not to like put pressure on those things or put too much weight on it. But yeah, it will be really nice when I can say that the baby's head down. So I suppose it's not really playing on my mind, but I'm aware of like that's something that needs to happen next. But yeah, everything else sort of feels like it's just beautifully falling into place. And I feel really lucky to not be more tired than I am actually. And more stiff than I am. I'm not like the most agile, limber person in the world, don't get me wrong. By the evening, I'm sort of like, oh, can you pick that up, Dan? But actually, like, during the day, playing on the floor with Stan and moving around. You okay, boo-boo? Speak of the angels. Okay, sweet pea. So yeah, it's good. Oh, I'll give you a bump shot. So this is where we are. Definitely pregnant enough that wherever I go, people are being quite good at eventually like giving me a seat on public transport and things like that. No one's like, oh, I don't want to offend her, maybe she's not pregnant. Like, it's pretty darn obvious. The thing that was a bit annoying is actually when me and Mum went out for our nice day, we went to Toast, because there's a really great collection at the moment of spring summer stuff, and when we made the plan that that's what we were going to do, it was maybe like 4 weeks ago, and even then I was still feeling like I could probably guess what was going to work and try things on and be like, oh, the shoulders are in the right place, and once the bump's gone I'll be able to tell. It was just like, no, I can't buy anything. There's absolutely no way of trying things on and telling whether it's going to look good on my body or not postpartum. So that was a bit frustrating because I have been selling lots of clothes through my Instagram. I've got a Pre-Loved by Lizzie Instagram account where I sell clothes that I'm not wearing anymore, so I'll put that in the description box in case you're interested. So I'd raised some funds that way of passing clothes on to other people, and my mum and I have a tradition of she very kindly like buys me an Easter outfit. My family are Christian, and so obviously we love Easter eggs and all of that sort of stuff, but Easter is like even bigger for us in a way, kind of like, it's not Christmas, but you know, it's a bigger thing if you do the church stuff too. So we have this tradition of Easter outfits. So she would have bought me an outfit, but then also it was Mothering Sunday, and Dan was like, well, buy yourself a present for Mother's Day. And so I had like all of these options and these funds to buy lovely clothes, and I was like, oh, I actually can't do that. So I really want to try and make time. And obviously, like, once you give birth, you still look pregnant for ages, but hopefully I'll be breastfeeding, and I don't want to put any pressure on my body, but I also don't want to like miss this collection because it's so nice. And I kind of feel like by the time I'm ready to go and try clothes on, it's going to be the autumn winter collection. I have just seen that I've been talking for nearly 15 minutes. I'm so sorry. I'm going to shut up now, and I will tell you about next week really soon. Hello, I'm here to talk to you about week 34. I am 35 weeks today, so I always do it so that I get to the end of the week and then I reflect back. My reflection is I am uncharacteristically grumpy. So I was just watching back week 33, which you will have literally just watched, and I was really chirpy and feeling really good, and so it's made me more grumpy to be like, I want to feel like that again, because I feel so like cumbersome and basically in pain all the time and tired and grumpy and not able to sleep. And so yeah, let's take a couple of steps back and I'll fill you in properly, but apologies in advance for the fact that I am uncharacteristically grumpy. So it's Tuesday today. Tuesday is the day of the week that I turn over to the next week. And on Friday night it was, so I had, it's not like it's even been the whole week. Before Friday night, like in the middle of the night, sleeping time night, it was all like it had been before, so chipper. And then in the night I woke up about 4 o'clock in the morning with really severe calf cramps in my legs that were agonizing. And then all of the next day and the day after, so all of Saturday and Sunday, I was in loads of pain, like limping basically. I had a reflexology appointment on the Saturday, which I was so grateful for. But actually by the time I got there, it's about a half an hour walk from where I live. You can get the bus, but it's about half an hour on the bus as well. So there's kind of no point. I'm having a cheeky smoothie for energy because I haven't managed to get that much sleep. It's oat milk, banana, peanut butter and strawberries, frozen strawberries. So yeah, I went and had reflexology and that really helped. But by the time I'd got there, like hobbling along, my legs and my feet were so like puffy and inflamed and sad. And she did a brilliant job of making them feel better. So it was really good timing that I was able to have that treatment, and I'm seeing her again on Friday this week, so in a few days time. I'm trying to see her weekly at the moment because of the fact that it's the Easter holidays and my husband's off work, so that I can actually more easily go and see her. So I'm going to go try to see if she can do next week as well. But I think also that's part of it. So it is so lovely that Dan's off work. But it's all like almost like my body's gone, oh, you're allowed to collapse now. You've got backup. You've got support. Dan can look after Stan. You're allowed to just crumble. And it feels like that's what's happening, which is really annoying because I just want to be, you know, on it and still in a really good way. And I've been really good about my health with this pregnancy, and was feeling really, even though my belly's really big, was still feeling quite like limber and up for it. And now I'm just grumpy and in pain. Last night I just didn't really sleep well in the night at all. I'd get an hour and then I'd wake up and just be so uncomfortable and have to change positions, and it just feels like, you know, I've been saying like I'm fine during the day, but then by the evenings I'm a bit kind of like, oh, I can't quite get out of the floor. I say now, like today is the first day, but today I've woken up like I feel by the end of the day. And I did go back to sleep, like the boys got up at about 7:30 and I went back to sleep from 8 till like 10:30. So I'm sure that helped, but I'm just knackered. And also being 35 weeks, like literally Stan would have come today. So in some ways it makes sense that for a few days before week 35 I've been really uncomfortable, because that's what happened last time. But I had assumed that that was happening because my body was getting ready to give birth, whereas maybe lots of people are just bloody uncomfortable from week 35. I don't know. I'm hoping that this too will pass. Everything's a season. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be like this for the whole of the rest of the pregnancy. It doesn't necessarily mean that the baby's about to pop out. I don't think he is. I don't think he's suddenly going to show up. And as you know, I really want to get to 37 weeks. this Sunday we've got a Zoom call with the volunteering group that is like the Hackney Home Birth group, which is like a really nice group of people who organise birth pools to be swapped around with people and all sorts of things like that. So we're going to go on that Zoom on Sunday, and that will be really nice. And I think we'll have our birth pool soon, and somebody else has got a load of towels that they don't want anymore, and they do this towel exchange, so we're going to have those. And I've been able to pack my hospital bag, so that's been really good. So there will be videos on both of those things coming, actually. Probably quite soon will be my hospital bag one, and then there'll be like a preparing for home birth one. So those things do feel good. Like there's still stuff to feel good about. And yesterday we had a lovely day. We went to London Transport Museum, me and Dan and Stan, and it was really fun. And so there's still good stuff, but just particularly today, I have felt just really uncomfortable. Like this bit on my left hand side where I've been saying by the evening I sort of have a stitch up it. And then I mentioned last week that my stretch marks and this kind of panel below my boobs were all feeling quite tender and sore. It's actually starting to feel like it's bruising, like, and I had the last 2 nights, it's literally felt like my rib cage is moving, which I'm sure it is. Like it's not that it just feels like that. I think that's what's happening, but it was meaning I had really bad back pain across my back and then down here across my ribs. And when there's just 1 or 2 uncomfortable things, like I sleep propped up in bed with my pillows. And so if I can get my back comfy and rest, then the front half that all feels a bit achy can cope because my back's comfy. But now my front was all tense and achy and, feeling bruised, and my back was in pain. So there's no nothing you can lean on that doesn't hurt. So yeah, that's it. I'm just whinging and moaning, but that's how I feel this week. Hopefully next week will be better. I'm also just feeling like this is TMI, but I mean, once you get to this point in pregnancy, it's like, shall I just be really, really honest with people? I've been like that all the way up till here, but there hasn't been anything that disgusting to share. But I even feel like now when I go for a wee, it's a really annoying trickle, and then it doesn't really stop. And you can't reach as well to wipe. And then it's just like, is there more wee gonna come out? I don't know. That's only just been today and yesterday, but it's just nah. I just feel a bit nah. I feel really good about all the fun that I can have with Dan and Stan, but I feel like I can't have all the fun because I get huffy and puffy walking long distances. So hopefully it's going to change. Hopefully this bit isn't going to feel so sore. We shall see. Or maybe the baby's going to turn up and then my body will feel better in some respects and worse in others. I feel like I should stop now because I'm just being grumpy, and I will speak to you again next week, and we'll see how things are. We'll have met Sophie, our midwife, again by then, and I can share these kind of bits and bobs with her and hear what she thinks. So yes, I will speak to you soon. Fingers crossed this is just a bad few days and it will change, or I will get used to it and find some coping mechanisms to get further along in pregnancy. Because as I say, I've never been this pregnant before now. That from this point, well, no, Stan would have been born at 7:05 p.m. tonight, and that's a few hours away. But from tomorrow, I've basically never been this pregnant. So yeah, lots of love. Speak soon. Hiya. Okay. Week 35. I'm now 36 weeks pregnant, so I'm going to talk about week 35. We had our appointment with our midwife Sophie. She thinks that baby is head down now, which would be awesome. She's not 100% sure, but she thinks so and I think so, and so that feels good. And it definitely feels like he's a lot lower and that my lungs have got more space, so heartburn's pretty much gone and lung capacity feels more normal. I've generally had a much better week than last week, so that's so good. I've been able to sleep and haven't been as much pain or discomfort. I would say that I still am big, and so I feel cumbersome and it isn't the same as when I wasn't as far along in my pregnancy. So that's not completely changed, but I haven't had leg cramps. I'm not in pain. I'm just big and a bit huffy and puffy. But as I say, since he's gotten lower, the huffy puffy is easier because there's more space for my lungs. The main things to update you on are the fact that we had a great appointment with Sophie, but she feels like I'm measuring large, which is one kind of thing that they do, that they measure week to week, and they kind of think you should be the number of centimeters that you are weeks, and I'm more centimeters than I am weeks, but it's, as you can imagine, a bit arbitrary because people come in different shapes and sizes and carry in different ways. But that was on Thursday, and on Friday she called because I had had another high blood sugar, so she took blood and checked everything, and so unfortunately that means there's this whole trajectory of it could be gestational diabetes again, and we're back on that path, that page. So first thing I've done is I have changed to a gestational diabetes diet, so low GI, carbs and low sugar, which is fine. I'm really far along now. Like I say, I'm 36 weeks, so there's not an enormous amount that can be done if I do have gestational diabetes, in terms of like, obviously I can eat properly and be really good, but I think he's going to come really, really soon. So who knows how much kind of difference and impact it makes. But the thing that's complicated is we can't actually test properly to see if I have gestational diabetes. So it's been 2 bloods that have been high. Everything else has been completely fine. So it's not like it's consistently always high. And it could just be based on 2 anomalies, like last time, the sugary cereal. But because the test that you normally do for gestational diabetes is like a fasting test, and you have blood taken. I can't do that because the way that my body really reacts to having blood taken, so I have to have lots of sugar in order to manage having blood taken and not fainting. So I can't do that. Can't do the normal test that they do, because that would definitely be bad for me and the baby. So I'm not doing that, but it means that they would like to be able to diagnose whether I have gestational diabetes or not, of course. When I say they, I'm talking now about the obstetrics team, the doctors. So the midwives still very much want to support a home birth, but because of these red flags of measuring big and the high blood sugar, we had to go and have an appointment with the obstetrics team, which are the doctors at the Homerton Hospital. So we did that this week. It was much better than I feared, because the woman was very respectful and measured and good at her job and not pushy. But unfortunately, under these circumstances, there's quite a lot of people who feel like they're bullied into inductions and cesareans. I don't know how much I can get into in this video because it's just going to take forever. But basically, there's this whole thing around big babies and whether big babies are, your baby's too big for your body to be able to give birth. And that's something that unfortunately doctors say and comes up quite a lot. Statistically, 1 in 10 babies are born whatever they consider big. I think it might be 8.5 to 9 pounds are considered big. So that doesn't necessarily mean there were any problems with the birth or any issues with the baby at all, but just a bigger baby. 2 in 3 women are told that their baby's too big for their body and they won't be able to give birth naturally. So that's 1 in 10 are actually born big, not necessarily with any problem being birthed. Could be a completely natural birth. But 2 in 3 women are told your baby's too big, you need to have an induction, you need to have a cesarean. So it's a bit of an issue. I still very much want to have a home birth. So we're jumping through the hoops of, I'm really happy to change my diet, and that's a good thing to do anyway. I'm happy to have a growth scan. So later this week, we're going to actually go and have a scan so that they can have a look at the baby. Again, with that, it's a bit frustrating because with those, they're really difficult to measure, and particularly at this size, this kind of far along in the pregnancy, it's quite arbitrary, the measuring it, and it's quite difficult to get it right. And there's a lot of variation from person to person of who does it, but also they tend to, there's been a lot of studies done and research done that they know that they're doing a sizing scan. I can't remember what they call them, but basically they know that they're checking that they're worried that someone's worried the baby's big. So they tend to over measure. So you tend to get results that the baby is big regardless. So it feels a little bit like we're being, that this is evidence to use against us slightly. So I will fill you in next week on what is happening. We and the birth team still very much want to aim for a home birth and don't see why that shouldn't be a problem. The obstetrics team would rather I gave birth in the birth centre. So yeah, we will see what happens next. But yeah, it's complicated. If any of you want to, if any of you have experiences of this and you want to talk about it and you want to come on Instagram and DM me, please feel free. Don't really want any like negative birth stories or people leaving comments saying you have to do what the doctors say. Unfortunately, there's a lot of evidence that the safest place to give birth for your second baby is at home. There's also a lot of evidence that doctors, as I just said, are very keen on inductions. Basically, as soon as you start having interventions like induction, it's far more likely to lead to another intervention, a very medicalised birth and potentially caesarean. And the vast majority of the time, women's bodies are designed to give birth to babies and babies know how to be born. And that's what we're gonna go with as long as we can. So still hoping for a home birth, still doing all of the things that mean that we can have a home birth, but this is like thrown up a bit of a stressful additional thing. So I will let you know next week where we're at, but that's where we are now. So our birth pool is ready. We're going to collect, we're getting everything ready at home so that we can still have our home birth or at least labour at home for as long as possible. And I will let you know more next week about what the doctors say and what the home birth team say and where we end up getting to. As I say, like so far, the woman that we met with, even though she, you know, had certain expectations, or not even expectations, it was more that her bosses were putting pressure on her to try and get us to do something, but she was very respectful and could see and understand where we were coming from. But because we've got this second appointment, in the back of my mind, it feels a little bit like good cop, bad cop. Like she was like the sweetener. And now we're going to get like the tirade. So we will see. I will let you know how it goes and I will speak to you soon. Hello. So it's the final week in this video. Let's talk about week 36. So I'm week 37 or 37 weeks today. So I'm going to talk to you about the previous week. We had our growth scan. It went really well. The sonographer who did it was so gorgeous and lovely and warm and friendly and not at all, like I'd heard stories of them being a bit like, oh, with growth ones, and that statistically they kind of, because they know that they're doing a growth scan rather than doing a normal like anatomical one earlier in the pregnancy, they quite often like over egg the pudding and it's human nature that the results are then loads bigger. I mean, as I say, it's really difficult at this stage. Anyway, any time with working out the size of babies or that sort of stuff with babies with the scans is difficult and variable. But as it gets further along, it's even harder. But apparently one of the things that is easier or more accurate to check are the waters. So there's like a sack of waters in there with the baby, you know, when your waters break, it's that. And if you have a lot of waters, like a very big bag of waters, that's indicative of the fact that the baby might have, or you might have gestational diabetes, and that's affecting the baby. But the waters were completely normal. So we can pretty much trust that the waters are completely normal because that's an easier thing to read. That is fantastic. From her checking everything, he is definitely head down, so that's really exciting. He's not back to back like Sam was, so he's in a really good position already, so that's really exciting. And he's measuring by her accounts big, but still very much in the parameters of what's completely fine. So even though I'm quite aware of the fact that with these things it's not a perfect science, but because we're in the situation we are, and we're dealing with doctors who want to try and measure these things and have a printed piece of paper that says what's going on, what was printed on the piece of paper is all really positive in terms of there not being problems and it being relatively straightforward and the baby being healthy and all being good. So it felt really, really, really positive. And then we had a lovely weekend, basically. That was last week. And then, yeah, we got to have a lovely Easter weekend. And it's all feeling really good. I am very, very bloated. Everything under the waist is sort of bloated and puffy. My hands are as well, actually, but not as bad. Like my ankles and my feet and my legs and my all quite, not just quite, like very inflamed. So that's a bit annoying and weird. But otherwise I'm sleeping well. I'm happy, getting on with my diabetes diet over Easter. I let myself have one little chocolate nest. Me and Stan made chocolate nests for everybody. So I let myself have one of those, but obviously no like proper chocolate or Easter eggs or anything like that. And that feels like the right thing to be doing, and that's going well. Yeah, the birth pool arrives tomorrow, and because of being 37 weeks now, as of midnight last night, if I go into labour, I can call the home birth team and let them know, and they'll come out when the appropriate time is. So that's really exciting, because before you're officially 37 weeks, you have to go into the labour ward. You can't choose. So that feels really good that we're past that point now. Like, that's a big deal. So yeah, we've got all of our supplies and the pool's arriving tomorrow, and I'm going to film you a video of how we've prepared and all of the stuff that we've got for the home birth, snacks and things. And, you know, obviously, like, that's the least important thing, but you do need more snacks if you're doing it at home, because you've got midwives to feed. So yeah, I think that's all to say, really. Like, still really hope that we'll be able to do it at home. Have another appointment with our midwife this Thursday where we'll talk more stuff through, but as it is at the moment, everything's pointing towards us being able to do it at home and not needing to feel like, because of the fact that it might be a big baby, we can't, if that makes sense. So I've had all of the talks that I need to have with all of the doctors and all of the people, and looks like we can keep going on the trajectory that we are. So that feels really good. And yeah, it just feels mad that it could be any time now. Like, this is full term from now on, but it's also really weird that there's like 5 weeks of full term. So up to 42 weeks is full term as well. Their recommendation, the doctors, the obstetrics team, I don't think they even specifically said this to me, but I think I have this piece of information, that they quite like people to be induced at 38 weeks. If they have gestational diabetes. As I've mentioned, we don't even know that I do, because we can't check, we can't get a diagnosis, but they do then prefer to just behave as though you are diabetic. So it might be that I'm filming next week being like, they keep calling, they're trying to make me be induced, but we'll see. So far so good, it all feels promising, and yeah, all feels quite exciting, really. So I will talk to you again next week. It will be interesting to see, yeah, like I was saying at the beginning of the video, how many more videos on this there are. So this at least is a complete video. We've got all 4 weeks in, but I will talk to you about week 37, 8, 9 and 40, if I get that far, in another video. Yeah. I don't know if you follow me on Instagram, but that's a good place if you really want to know when the baby comes. I'm sure I'll share it there. So that's in the description box. Please feel free to subscribe and like this video and all that good stuff. I'm a bit all over the place today because it's the first day back. It's the Tuesday after Bank Holiday Monday, so it's my first day back at work after 2 weeks off for Easter. So I'm a little bit all over the place and sort of like, how do I do my job again? And also, like, when am I stopping doing my job for maternity leave? So sorry if it's a bit all over the shop, but I will speak to you very soon. As you know, there are videos coming on the home birth, and if I ever get round to it, then what I'm still managing to wear in my pregnancy when I'm this far at the end. So yes, I'm looking forward to sharing with you more and speaking to you soon. Just chatting complete rubbish. Lots of love, speak soon.